Welcome back to the place where we pretend to read books so you can pretend you're smarter than your coworkers at the water cooler. Today, we're diving into a book that is ironically very difficult to read if you're a modern human being with a smartphone addiction, which implies that, statistically speaking, you're already struggling to pay attention to this sentence. The book is called Rapt Attention and the Focused Life by Winifred Gallagher. It's a nice little wake-up call that essentially tells you that your life is not defined by what happens to you, but rather by what you choose to pay attention to. That sounds like a cheesy greeting card sentiment, but the author backs it up with hard science and a bit of a slap in the face to our collective distraction. Let's be honest, you probably clicked on this audio while having 14 tabs open on your browser, doom scrolling on a second screen, and wondering if you left the stove on. We're living in an age where our attention spans have been reduced to that of a caffeinated goldfish. We treat our focus like it is cheap confetti, throwing it at every buzzing notification, every outrage bait headline, and every cat video that crosses our retina. Gallagher argues that this is not just a bad habit, but a fundamental existential crisis. If you cannot control your attention, you cannot control your reality. You're just a leaf blowing in the wind of an algorithm designed to sell you protein powder or get you angry about politics. Before we get into the meat of how to stop living like a distracted zombie, I need you to focus your very limited attention on something that actually matters for a brief second. If you want to stop losing the battle against your own brain, you should go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It takes 1 microsecond of top-down cognitive processing, and it tells the YouTube algorithm that you are a discerning individual with impeccable taste. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, good. Now let's talk about why your brain is currently sabotaging your happiness. The first major lesson from the book is the concept that attention creates your reality. This is the foundational argument. We tend to go through life thinking that our experience is a recording of everything that happens around us. We think our eyes are video cameras taking in the whole scene. But Gallagher points out that this is scientifically false. Your brain is not a camera, it's a bouncer at an exclusive club. It blocks out 99% of the sensory data coming at you and only lets the VIPs inside. The problem is that most of us have a terrible bouncer. We let the rowdy drunks in, the anxieties, the regrets, the petty annoyances, while leaving the good stuff standing out in the rain. Think about it like this. Imagine you're at a party. It's a decent party. There's free pizza, the music is okay, and there are people you actually like. But there's also that one guy in the corner wearing a fedora who is loudly explaining why cryptocurrency is the future of dating. If you spend your entire night focusing on Fedora Guy, obsessing over how annoying he is, and listening to his terrible opinions, you'll leave that party thinking it was a disaster. You'll go home and tell your partner that you had a miserable time. Meanwhile, someone else at the same party spent the whole night eating the free pizza and flirting with a cute stranger. They left thinking it was the best night ever. It was the same room, it was the same reality, but the experience was completely different because of where the attention was directed. Most people live their lives staring at the Fedora Guy. We fixate on the one rude comment in a thread of nice ones. We obsess over the guy who cut us off in traffic rather than the 20 minutes of smooth driving that preceded it. Gallagher says that the quality of your life is the sum of what you have paid attention to. If you pay attention to garbage, your life becomes a landfill. If you pay attention to the things that light you up, your life becomes a masterpiece. It's entirely a curatorial job. You're the museum curator of your own brain, and right now, a lot of you are filling the main exhibit hall with trash from Twitter. The second core lesson brings in the heavy-hitting neuroscience, but I'll keep it simple because nobody wants a biology lecture. It's the battle between top-down attention and bottom-up attention. This is the mechanism that determines who's driving the bus. Bottom-up attention is the primitive part of your brain. It's the part that evolved to notice a tiger jumping out of a bush. It's involuntary, it's fast, it's reactive. When your phone makes that distinct ping sound and your eyes snap to the screen before you even decide to look, that's bottom-up attention. It's your brain saying, "Look here, this might be dangerous or interesting."
Top-down attention is the sophisticated, evolved part of your brain. It's voluntary focus. It's you deciding, I'm going to write this report, or I'm going to listen to my spouse tell me about their day without looking at the television. The problem with modern life is that we're constantly being bombarded by bottom-up stimuli. The world is designed to hack your lizard brain. Every app, every billboard, and every breaking news banner is designed to hijack that involuntary reflex. Imagine your brain is a corporate office. Top-down attention is the CEO. The CEO has a vision. The CEO wants to get things done, build an empire, and retire early. Bottom-up attention is the intern who just drank 4 Red Bulls and is running around the office screaming because there's a pigeon on the window ledge. If the CEO is weak, the intern runs the company. And that's how you end up spending 3 hours watching hydraulic press videos on YouTube at 2 in the morning when you promised yourself you would learn Spanish. You're letting the intern drive. Gallagher argues that the focused life requires you to strengthen the CEO and put the intern in a soundproof room. You have to actively suppress the distractions. It's not about having more willpower, it's about creating an environment where the intern doesn't have anything to scream about. If you want to do deep work, you have to physically remove the bottom-up triggers. Hide the phone. Close the tabs. Don't rely on your brain to ignore the shiny object, because the shiny object will win every time. The third lesson is about the sweet spot of attention, or what psychologists call flow. You've probably heard of flow states. It's that feeling when you're so absorbed in a task that time disappears, you forget you're hungry, and you feel like a god of productivity. Gallagher argues that this state of rapt attention is actually the happiest state a human can be in. This is counterintuitive because we usually think that relaxation is the happiest state. We think sitting on a beach doing absolutely nothing is the peak of existence. But the data shows that when we're doing nothing, our minds tend to wander. And when our minds wander, they usually wander to anxiety, self-doubt, or boredom. The idle mind is not a playground, it's a haunted house. True happiness comes from focused engagement. But here's the catch. It has to be the right kind of engagement. It has to be challenging enough to require focus, but not so hard that you have a panic attack. Think about video games. Why do people spend thousands of hours playing Elden Ring or Call of Duty? It's stressful. You die constantly. It requires intense focus. By all logic, it should be work, but it puts you in a state of rapt attention. You're fully utilized. Now compare that to watching a reality TV show while scrolling through Instagram. That's passive consumption. It's low-quality attention. You're not engaged, you're just numb. You finish a 3-hour binge-watch session feeling like a wet sock, but you finish a 3-hour session of painting or coding or playing a sport, and you feel energized. The lesson here is to stop chasing passive leisure and start chasing active focus. If you're bored, don't pick up the phone. Pick up a hobby that forces you to think. Build a table. Learn to knit. Play chess. Do something that demands your full cognitive capacity. It's the difference between eating a bag of marshmallows for dinner versus a steak. The marshmallows give you a quick hit, but you feel sick afterwards. The focused activity is the steak. It sustains you. Lesson number 4 is a big one, and it's going to hurt some feelings. It's the relationship between attention and emotion. Gallagher explains that you can effectively regulate your emotions just by shifting your focus. This goes back to the idea that feelings follow focus. If you're feeling miserable, it's almost certainly because you're focusing on something miserable. We all know that one person who's addicted to being the victim. Let's call her Karen, although that's unfair to the nice Karens of the world. Let's call her Susan. Susan can walk into a 5-star hotel, and instead of noticing the marble floors and the fresh flowers, she notices a smudge on the window and a bellhop who didn't smile wide enough. Now she's furious. She's ruined her own vacation. She thinks the world is treating her badly, but really she's just walking around with a metal detector looking for landmines. Gallagher suggests that we have the power to reset our emotional state by physically shifting our attention. It's like changing the lens on a camera. If you're angry at your partner because they left the dishes in the sink, your brain zooms in on the sink. You start remembering every time they messed up. You start drafting the divorce papers in your head. But if you force yourself to zoom out and focus on the fact that they picked up the dry cleaning and made you coffee this morning, the anger physically dissipates. You can't be grateful and furious at the same time. The brain doesn't have the bandwidth. This isn't about toxic positivity or ignoring real problems. It's about ratio. If your relationship is 90% good and 10% annoying, but you focus 90% of your attention on the annoying part, your relationship will fail. You're essentially gaslighting yourself into misery. The actionable advice here is to catch yourself when you're spiraling. When you feel the blood pressure raising because someone was wrong on the internet or the barista got your name wrong, ask yourself, is this where I want to spend my limited attentional currency? Am I investing in anger? Because the return on investment for anger is terrible. It pays out in ulcers and loneliness.
Let's move on to lesson number 5, which is about decision fatigue and the clutter of choice. We live in a world of infinite options, and Gallagher argues that this is actually a disaster for our focus. Every time you have to make a choice, you burn a little bit of attentional fuel. Should I wear the blue shirt or the gray shirt? Should I watch the sci-fi movie or the comedy? Should I order the Thai food or the pizza? By the time you actually sit down to do something meaningful, your tank is empty because you spent all your energy deciding what to have for lunch. We are drowning in what is called maximizing. This is the pressure to make the absolute perfect choice every single time. You spend 45 minutes reading reviews for a toaster. You need the best toaster, the one that will define you as a human being. It's a toaster. It makes bread hot. This obsession with the perfect choice scatters our attention. We are constantly looking over our shoulder to see if there was a better option. It is the Tinder effect. Why commit to this person when there might be someone slightly hotter and funnier one swipe away? The result is that we never truly commit to anything, so we never get the depth of experience that comes with rapt attention. We are skimming the surface of life. The fix? Become a satisficer. That is a made-up word that combines satisfy and suffice. Pick the thing that is good enough and move on. Pick the movie that looks decent and watch it. Don't scroll for an hour. Buy the toaster that has 4 stars and be done with it. Save your attention for the things that actually matter, like your career, your family, or figuring out why your cat stares at the corner of the ceiling when nothing is there. Automate the boring stuff. Wear the same style of clothes. Eat the same breakfast. Steve Jobs didn't wear that turtleneck because he loved fashion. He wore it so he didn't have to waste 5 minutes of focus in the morning deciding what to wear. Be like Steve, but maybe shower more often. The final lesson, and perhaps the most critical one for the modern age, is how attention impacts our relationships. Gallagher puts it bluntly, you cannot multitask a relationship. You think you can. You think you can listen to your friend vent about their bad date while you are checking your email, throwing in the occasional, wow, crazy, or totally. But you're lying. Humans are incredibly sensitive to attention. We know when someone is not really there. There's a term for this now. Phubbing, phone snubbing. It's when you are physically present with someone, but mentally in the cloud. It is the ultimate insult. It says, you are less interesting to me than this meme sent by a stranger. When you divide your attention, you dilute the connection. It's like watering down a fine wine. You're turning a deep connection into grape juice. Gallagher argues that the greatest gift you can give someone is your rapt attention, eye contact, listening without planning your response, putting the phone face down, or better yet, throwing it into the ocean. Think about the early days of dating. You know, that honeymoon phase where you're obsessed with each other. You hang on every word. You don't look at your phone for hours. You're in a state of flow with another human being. That is why it feels so good. But then comfort sets in. You stop paying attention. You start scrolling while they're talking. The spark dies, not because the love is gone, but because the attention is gone. If you want to save a dying relationship, stop buying gifts and start paying attention. Look at them. Notice them. It's cheaper than therapy and much more effective. So how do we wrap this up and put a bow on it? What's the big takeaway from Winifred Gallagher's Rapt? It is simply this. Your attention is a limited resource. It is the most valuable currency you have. More valuable than Bitcoin, more valuable than your time. Because time without attention is just empty existence.
We treat attention like it's infinite, giving it away to every advertiser, narcissist, and beeping device that asks for it. And then we wonder why we feel empty, scattered, and anxious. We wonder why we can't remember the last time we felt truly at peace. The focused life is a choice. It's a rebellion against the modern world. It is the decision to say, no, I will not look at that. I will look at this. You have to curate your life. You have to build fences around your focus. You have to be the bouncer of your own brain. Stop letting the drunk guys in. Kick out the anxiety, kick out the distraction, and focus on the music. If you can master your attention, you can master your life. You can choose to be happy by choosing what to see. You can choose to be productive by choosing to ignore. And you can choose to be loved by choosing to listen. It's a skill, not a talent. You will fail. You will find yourself 3 hours deep in a Wikipedia rabbit hole about the history of spoons. That's okay. Just catch yourself. Reset. Bring the CEO back into the office and tell the intern to sit down. The world is screaming for your eyes. Keep 'em on the prize. And speaking of keeping your eyes on the prize, if you manage to focus through this entire summary without tab switching, congratulations, you are in the top 1% of the population. Validate your superior attention span by dropping a comment below. Tell me, what is the #1 thing stealing your focus right now? Is it social media? Is it your kids? Is it the crushing existential dread of the universe? Let me know. And of course, hit that subscribe button so we can help you hack your brain again in the next video. Until then, put down the phone, go outside, and actually look at a tree or something. Seriously, go. Focus.